Guys, it's Karen, and I thought it was time for another doggy haul because there's quite a few products I've bought and have been finding really useful, and some of these are repurchases and some of them are new things, so I thought I would show them to you and maybe give you a few ideas of things that can be good for your dog and help. There's a lot of health related things here and grooming, but there's also some kind of enjoyable things for them as well. So let's see, I'll start with these because these are in a category of their own, I guess. They are just little bandanas, and I had thought, you know me and my many kind of little business ideas, I don't even know if you could call them business ideas, they're just ideas of something that I would enjoy, that I could do and potentially sell and make a few quid on, and this hasn't turned out to be one of them. So what I did was I ordered these bandanas from eBay, and then I made a few myself, but it's back to that, they're so inexpensive that you just make pennies on them and it's just not worth the time to make them. But I would definitely recommend buying these from the seller that I did on eBay. So what they are is they are slip-on bandanas, so there's like a hole in there and you just put the collar through and then it wraps around. And you may have seen some of the photos with Watson in these, and I also made him a tartan one, a purple tartan one, which is just really beautiful on him, I think. And I'm not one for dressing Watson up, to be honest. I'm not really into dressing dogs up, and neither is Kev. Although, you know, there's often a need to when they get cold, and I wish Watson would wear his raincoat because he completely runs away when we bring it out now, and he gets really cold when he's out. And we decided it wasn't a huge issue because he would be out, he'd get wet, and then we'd put his robe on him. So it was either putting the raincoat on to stop the rain getting in that area of him, or to put his robe on when he gets home, and that was absolutely fine, that did the trick. But what I've noticed is he's getting cold whilst out. I think because he's not so much of a puppy, he's not running around quite as crazy as he used to. So he will, like, we were out at the beach with our friends and he was stopping and sitting and looking at me, and I think it was because he was cold, and obviously there wasn't really anything I could do because I can't carry him very far. And I was like, well, I wish he would have put his rain jacket on. So we might revisit getting him to wear his rain jacket again. What was my point in that? Oh, about dressing them up. But with a bandana, it's just a nice way of adding a bit of colour and sort of identifying your dog in a crowd, if you know what I mean. That's what the reason for me, there was twofold for me. One was when we go to the doodle meet in Edinburgh on the first Sunday of every month, there's so many dogs that look like him that I would be like, look, where's Watson? And I wanted to be able to spot him really quickly, so I put this on. Actually, at the minute I can spot him from his little white bum cheeks, bless him. He's got little silver patches of hair on his bum cheeks. I'll try and remember and put a photo in for you, it's so funny. But this just makes it easier. And the second reason for me was I'm putting photos on, excuse me, my eyelashes are sticking together, it's very annoying. I'm putting photos on my Mrs. Ginger photography page, my Facebook page, of Watson all the time, and it's just nice to put things with him looking a bit different, because my photos were starting to look a little bit the same. And also, once there's a bit of colour in there, it gives me the scope to make things black and white with a colour pop and things like that, and I can then use these for other dogs as well when I'm doing photo shoots. So but anyway, these were just a few pound from eBay, and they come in small, medium and large, I think, or I don't know if there's any more size than that, but I would definitely recommend them. I'll link everything I talk about here today in the description for you. So that is clothing, well, sort of clothing. We'll go on to grooming. This is not something I bought, it's something I got. That, for those of you that follow my vlog stories, I'm doing a grooming course at the moment. I'm doing a grooming diploma and really enjoying it. And I was surprised to find it came with many things, and actually I could have saved myself some money if I'd applied for the grooming course before buying all my grooming supplies, because it came with a really good set of clippers. It came with 2 books, which actually one of them I wanted, it's Dog Grooming for Dummies. It came with nail clippers, and it came with this. But this is something I would imagine is on Amazon. I'm going to have a look and put a link for you, and it's absolutely brilliant. And I had bought a slicker brush, so it's a slicker, but it is a self-cleaning slicker. And actually I sat and played with it and nearly broke it. Kev had to fix it for me. So you brush them, and then you press this button at the back, and can you see it takes like I said, mine's a little bit broken, it doesn't go as far as it should, but it takes it all the way out, and you can just pull the hair off. So it's called a self-cleaning slicker, and I thought that was really ingenious, so that you don't have to sort of, you know, get another tool to try and clean it. You can just press it, and especially if you are a groomer, but even for use at home, I thought that was really good. But what I've noticed about using this slicker on Watson, firstly, you have to be really careful because this is quite sharp, and I tested it on Kev actually. I said, let me put this on your head and see at what like how hard, I suppose I could have done it on myself, couldn't I? How hard, but he's got short hair, how hard I need to do it before it starts to hurt, so that I know what pressure to put on Watson with it. But I've noticed that Watson doesn't love me using this unless I'm very, very gentle, so that's what I am. But I've noticed that it makes the coat more silky. If you sort of brush it in the direction of the hair and then sort of brush up again, the hair is really silky using this, more silky than using like a comb or a pin brush or anything like that. So I think this would be a good investment. So that's a brush. I also bought a comb that I think is really good. This was just from Pets at Home, and the reason I bought this is because the comb we were using was probably the length. Can you see? There's two lengths there, and it was probably the length of those inner parts that was quite, the teeth were quite close together, and Watson has a lot of tangles, and so Kevin suggested getting something wider toothed so that so it was easier to get tangles up, but I still do need that length or that, you know, tighter packed prongs in order to get the tangles out. But what it means is I can use the front bit to first comb through it, and then I can go through it again with that bit, and it's not quite so pulley on him, you know. So I'd recommend that comb, and that was from Pets at Home. But again, I'm sure I'll find one on, oh, maybe not, because it's by the Groom Room. This is one of the Pets at Home Groom Room products. One more grooming product, and that's this, the Johnson's Baby Leave-In Conditioner. I bought this because I usually use a normal conditioner on Watson, and I want to use conditioner for two reasons. One, I want it to be with a moisturiser in it. I'm trying to find conditioners that have got glycerin in, if possible, to moisturise his skin, because he's not supposed to be washed as often as I wash him, but I have to wash him in the special shampoo, so I'm trying to keep his skin from getting too dry. But also it makes it easier to get through any tangles that he does get, because, you know, he's never going to have really short fur. So I was using normal conditioner, but like I said, it gets very, very cold if he's got water on him. He doesn't like being in the bath at all. He doesn't like kick and scream or anything like that, but he actually just sort of hangs his head and, you know, looks really down and looks really like he's accepting it, but he can't wait for it to finish, kind of thing. And so I didn't want there to be another step while I was still running the water, and I thought what I'll do is I'll shampoo him, rinse him, get him dry, and then I'll put a leave-in conditioner in and see how much of a difference that makes to his skin. And also it just means that he's got the whole bathing thing is over and done with, and he's not so bad at the drying stage. So I've been using this and really enjoying it. You can see I'm up to about there. I've used it every time. And I just grabbed it with it being baby. I kind of knew in my head that even though it's a baby product, it'll probably still have a few rubbish ingredients in it, and it has got a bit of alcohol and it's got some perfume in it. I only use conditioner. I don't use it on his legs or paws, because I wouldn't use anything there because he does gnaw at his paws. If anything, I'd use the Veal leave-in conditioner, which is a spray. So I only use it on his back. But what was I going to say there? I've completely lost my place there. Oh, I wouldn't put it anywhere he could gnaw. So like his paws, he would gnaw them, something like that, because of the alcohol in it. But it's got alcohol and perfume. They are very, very low on the list. And he doesn't seem to be irritated by it at all. It's not bothering him, but I have to say it's really, really good. So if you have a dog that you know doesn't have sensitive skin, this would be a great product to just put through their fur after you've bathed them, because it does make his fur really soft, and he's not got his puppy coat anymore, so his fur is not as soft as it used to be, certainly, but this helps a lot, and it helps with the tangles. So if you don't want to use something with perfume and alcohol, because to be honest, I don't know whether I'll repurchase that, I would recommend the Veal leave-in conditioner. It's a spray. The next thing I bought is, I did buy it from Pets at Home, but it is a different brand, so it should be on Amazon. It's the I Love Pet Head range, and it's the oatmeal paw butter. It says soothes and relieves dry, cracked paws, and that's what it looks like inside. I don't like the scent of it because it's got mango in it, even though it says oatmeal, and I don't like the smell of fruity things. It's got shea butter, oatmeal, mango, vitamin E and F, jojoba, coconut oil, olive oil and aloe vera. That's the ingredients of this. And Kev kind of laughed at me getting this, because he said, well, his paws are not cracked. He said they might be dry and rough to the touch, but he said they're not cracked. And he used to say to me, when I do like a pedicure, he'll say to me, why do you want soft feet? And I was like, well, because they look nicer. But I remember thinking, yeah, he's got a point. He said your feet are hard so that because you walk, you know, and he said it's not natural to have like soft underneath, otherwise things would hurt you. And he said with Watson as well, he said he needs to have a pretty hard paws because he is walking on everything, you know, so don't make them too soft basically. But they just felt very, very dry to the touch, and I was worried that they would crack. So I put a little bit of this on very rarely, I haven't used it an awful lot, I have had it for a while, and I just put a tiny little bit on his paws and it made them, it sort of filled in all the cracks, and they still felt nice and tough, but they were sort of smooth as well, if you know what I mean. And so if you have any problems with cracked paws, then I would highly recommend this, and because there's nothing else in it except those ingredients, I know that I can happily put it on his paws. Now, I have used coconut oil before. I use coconut oil for a lot of things. I actually put it in his food at the moment, but the problem with that is it's a little bit too greasy, and if I put it on his paws, it tends to slip around in our hall on the wooden floors, so I would recommend that. I've got 2 snack things to talk about, and then everything else is kind of first aid and health. This is the first thing that I wanted to show you. It's a small Chewy braid from Sainsbury's. It's the Good Boy range, and I think these are really good. Now, this is rawhide, but it is, actually, I thought that was a milky chew, but it's not. It's got a bit of beef through it as well, and the jury's still out for us on beef, on hide in general. I know that it's not as digestible as it should be for dogs, but Watson, in the periods where he's been okay, because we've had about a week now where his bowels have been great, I mean really, really good, until yesterday when he got his vaccination. But this has been something that he's really enjoyed. Not every day, it's there, I leave it out for him, but he just occasionally goes to it and it just keeps him occupied, and it's really good for his teeth. And so if you're okay with hide, I think this is really nice, because there's a bit of a mix of flavours in there, and I think it was £1 for this small one and maybe £2 for the bigger one. There's a large one as well, so he's really enjoyed those. And then something else, which again, the jury's still out for us on these, and I haven't even showed Kev that I've bought these. They are the Zealandia ribbies, and he absolutely loves them. I love giving them these. They're air-dried veal spare ribs. They're really good for him. They've got calcium in, and they need calcium. They're really good for their teeth because they chew them. Our concern, and mainly Kev's concern, I don't know why I'm not so concerned about it, is that they will splinter, and with his colitis, anything sharp can irritate his stomach. But I feel like he picks up sticks and crunches them and puts them down, and we don't always stop him because there's so many sticks around, you know. We don't let him run too much with one if he's got a big one, or we don't let him, like he brought one into the house the other day and we took it off him when he got into the house, that kind of thing. But I just think he eats a lot of things that could have little shards coming off it. I don't know whether you can completely eliminate that from their lifestyle, if you know what I mean. But these are really good for them. So I don't know, when he's back to having a normal tummy, I'm going to try him on one of these and see how it works, you know, if his tummy's all right, because it's a nice, I like giving him little healthy treats. I like giving him things that I know are good, that are 100% natural, you know, that's not got anything added or anything yucky in it, and these are really good. I got mine off Amazon. Okay, so you guys may remember that I went on a canine first aid course, so it was, I think, about 3 weeks ago now, and I really enjoyed it. It was so interesting, and it gave me confidence, because the reason I went on it is because I had cut Watson's paw and didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't bleeding or anything, it was a tiny little nick, but as it happened, I put coconut oil on and it healed, and that was absolutely fine what I did. And he sort of sometimes seems as if he's choking, and Kev always said to do the Heimlich manoeuvre. I wasn't sure, so I'm really glad I went on the course, because the Heimlich manoeuvre is not what you do at all. Being on that first aid course, one of the first things was that I don't have a first aid kit in the house for Watson specifically, and you do need one specific for dogs, because you need alcohol-free like solution to rinse any cuts with. But the most important thing was, if you are out on a long walk away from home, there is no 999 for animals, you know, and so you need to try and cope with things on the spot. And one of the things was, you know, if they get something in their eyes, if they get a tick, you don't really want to wait until you get home, and you want to get them out of discomfort and out of danger as soon as possible. So it's great to have a first aid kit. So I bought a first aid kit from Amazon. This is a canine first aid kit. It was £5.99, I think, and it's really good how it comes. It comes with little pouches like this. This has got some saline in it. It has got tick tweezers in it, which these are actually really good, and they're also good for getting little bits of hair out of ears. It's got a pair of scissors in it. It's got bandages. What else has it got in it? What is that? Oh, it's another dressing. There's quite a few dressings in here, and then there is tape to use for dressings as well, because you want to try and stop wounds. There's plastic gloves in case anything, you know, in case you're needing to touch them and not wanting to infect them. There's a plastic sheet. It's a really good little first aid thing to have. I don't know what this clip is for. It looks like it's a belt clip, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that clip actually works, but where you would put it, I don't know where to put mine. I've got two. This one is for Kev's car, and I've got one for my car. I've just flung it on the back seat at the moment, but I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. But I don't suppose it really matters. I very rarely have anyone except Watson in my car. But I would really recommend getting one of these. Once you've kind of done that course, it does make you think, and you realise all the things that could happen and how useful this could be. But in addition to that, obviously, if there's something happens in the house and I need something from that, I'd go out and get it, but I have most things in the house anyway. But I also bought some of this. It's really, really useful for, I don't know whether it would work so well on humans. I don't know whether you can get this for humans, but what it is, it's not sticky, but it sticks to itself. So if you needed to, say, put a little gauze on a cut on a dog, you then wrap it round and it sticks to itself. So it actually, oops, it doesn't hold it that tightly. I don't know why I was doing it that way, but it does stick to itself. You can see without me moving it, it's sticking to itself, and it doesn't stick to the fur. So it's a really, really good way of holding, say, something on their leg or something on their tail. I know the tails are particularly hard. And this was a couple of pounds, and I thought that was a great thing to have in the house. So I got that. I think everything else is not first aid, but it's more related to Watson and his illnesses. So just a quick recap for those of you that don't know, Watson has chronic colitis. That's probably the two main things we're dealing with him are chronic colitis, which results in him having, we're told, tummy pains, but also most of the time his bowels are not good. They're normally much, much softer than we'd want. Sometimes they're completely liquid, and it's really draining for him, and it's draining for us because we have to get up in the middle of the night, and it's just not a good way for him to be. And it's actually very, very dangerous for a dog to have diarrhea for a long, long time. So I'm always desperately trying to find solutions to it. I have talked before about all the different foods that we have tried, and it just doesn't really matter actually, because I think we've got a solution. If we haven't, we've got another plan Z, if you like, but we're always trying to find things to help his tummy and to make him feel better. The second thing we're always dealing with is his immune problem, which is that he has allergies. So he has allergies to dust mites, storage mites, and yeast. So with the yeast, we use a shampoo once a week. I'm currently using Malaseb. I'm not using the Chlorhexidine that I talked about in a previous video, and I'm not using Hibby Scrub either, because it just doesn't seem to work for him. I think it's the ingredient in Malaseb that's working for him. But anyway, so some of these things are for that, and some of them are just because I thought they were good things to have around. The first one is an antibacterial powder. I suppose this does come under the first aid thing actually. Yeah, it does. And it's just a powder, and I just thought that was a really useful, I think that would be great for humans actually. It says for minor wounds, cuts, bites and scratches on dogs and cats, but to just sprinkle some powder on would hopefully not be as stingy as putting something like a gel on or anything like that, and it's just much easier to use, I feel like. So I could put some of that on, put a little bit of sterile gauze, and then wrap it up in this if ever he got any kind of cut or injury. So I'm really glad I've got that now. I got this Epiotic ear cleaner. This was a recommendation from, in fact, this and the next item, which is these Opticrom eye drops, and these are actually human eye drops, but I went for a walk with somebody that has two poodles, and she has many of the problems with her. One of her poodles has had the same problems as Watson, and it took her nearly 2 years to get her tummy sorted. And so she was giving me all sorts of recommendations, because unfortunately, aside from the tummy and the itching, etc., because what he used to do is itch his paws until they were red, raw and bleeding, and he also has had ear infections and eye infections and things like that. Actually no, he's not had an eye infection, he's had ear infections. He's never had eye infections, that's the only thing that he's not had. But she said keep these Opticrom, and she said if ever they get any kind of gunk in their eye or anything, you put a few of these drops in and it just clears it up straight away. So I'm keeping those definitely. And then this Epiotic ear cleaner, apparently if you use this once a week, you just put a few drops in and then you clean it out. It prevents getting ear infections. So if you have got a dog that gets a lot of ear infections, then this is probably a good thing to buy. And again, this was an Amazon purchase. The next two things were repurchases. Slippery Elm. This is something that is really, really good for dogs with colitis, because it's not just that it's supposed to firm them up, because I haven't found, to be honest, that it does that on its own. You need to really get the food right. it seems to help with it. But what I love about this is it's supposed to be like an internal bandage, and so it's supposed to be like a pain relief for them, and it coats the gut and doesn't make the whole situation as painful. So I happily give him these, and I got 2 of these yesterday from Holland & Barrett for £5 each, so that was pretty good. I felt like I think they were half price, which is why I got 2. I should probably have even got more. And I just used 2 of these capsules, and I put it, what I've been doing, because obviously it's hard to give him capsules, but you can break open the capsules, is I have been putting it over his kibble, and then I've been putting a little teaspoon of coconut oil, melted coconut oil, and mixing that all together, and he seems to enjoy the coconut oil on his kibble, and then I'm getting the slippery elm powder into him as well. So I really love that, and we'll use that for as long as I can. And then this was a repurchase as well, and this is Complederm Essential Fatty Acids. And it's just something that with him having skin irritation, I think any dogs with skin irritation, getting their omegas and essential fatty acids are a really, really good idea. It will help their skin, it will help their coat stay shiny. And like I said, with him being washed so much, etc. But it's also pretty good for their tummy as well. So this is just a really nice way of doing it. I couldn't figure it out for ages. I was like tipping it up and trying to squeeze out, because there's a lid there, and what you do is you squeeze it. I won't do it, but if I squeeze it, it will fill up the lid, and then you pour it on, and that's like one measurement. So again, I sometimes add that. I don't always add it, I just do it now and again, because otherwise it would be really expensive. But it's called Complederm. There's nothing I can say I've seen a massive difference since using this. It's just something that I know is good for him, and especially if you've got a dog like me that has a lot of diarrhea, then he's losing a lot of nutrients and not getting everything that he needs from his food. So I just feel better giving him something like that. This is new, and it just says anti-diarrhea, but what I searched for was kaolin and pectin, and I think that the ProBind you normally get from your vet, which is like in a syringe, and it's just like a kind of cementy type thing that you push into their mouth, I think this is pretty much the same thing, except this one has got pectin in it. No, this one has got kaolin in it, and I don't think the ProBind has. I think the ProBind is just pectin. And it's just, this is obviously much cheaper than buying it from the vet. It is a liquid, it's got a long expiry date. It does just look like, it reminds me of, it doesn't smell like it, but what was the thing that, kaolin and morphine? Was it called kaolin and morphine? I remember my stepmom used to have this stuff, and it was disgusting. And I think she used it for sickness, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is just a white liquid. And so sometimes I make a little concoction for Watson. I sometimes get a tiny little bit of wet food. You know, you get these little pouches, and I'll sometimes give him a half of one of those if I'm giving him a lot of things that I know will change the taste of his kibble. And I'm probably going to do that today, because he had his immunotherapy injection yesterday. Actually, I gave him his immunotherapy injection for the first time at the vet, and I'll be doing it going forward. So what I'll do is I'll get half a pouch of wet food, which if we give him too much wet food, that upsets his tummy on its own. But I'll put some of this in it. I'll put some slippery elm in, some Complederm, and what else will I put in it? A little bit of kelp. I've got this packet of kelp powder. I think it's kelp. I'm not 100% sure about that. It's something I got in a doggy box, so I'm sort of testing it out. But all of that will sort of, to me, help soothe his tummy and, you know, help improve things. But I need to fill in my spreadsheet to see exactly how much it helps. We try so many different things, and we don't try different foods anymore, but there's so many things going on with him that I really have to record it every day to be able to look back and go, okay, that worked, that didn't work. What extra treat did he have yesterday? You know, we're really trying to limit what we give him so that it's easier to see a pattern. And the final thing is this. It is a Thomas the Tank Engine electric toothbrush. So I wanted to use an electric toothbrush on Watson because it's something I didn't know about dogs really. And it's funny because I remember again telling people about my stepmom and saying, and sort of laughing and saying, my stepmom used to clean her dog's teeth. And now I know that that's the right thing to do, because the problem is if you don't clean your dog's teeth every day, that they can get a build-up of tartar and plaque, and it can actually get into their system and affect their heart and organs. And it's just, you don't realise how important it is. And even that aside, in order to have their teeth cleaned and any work on their teeth, they need to go under anaesthetic, and that's not something you want to happen. You don't want your dog to be having a major operation. So I would like to do everything in our power to avoid him ever having to have anything done to his teeth. And just cleaning his teeth every day doesn't mean that it will avoid the need to have his teeth scraped or whatever, but hopefully it can be such a minor thing, you know, that he won't need to go under anaesthetic. And with him having things like those ribbies and him having dry kibble, this will all help as well. But I thought, well, let's see if I can get him on an electric toothbrush. And so I spent a long time training him on it, because at first he didn't even want to come near it. Then he would sort of come near it, and I was putting like bits of cheese, you may have seen in my videos, and holding the toothbrush here. Then I was putting the bit of cheese on here, and he was sort of snatching it. And we progressed and progressed until he was happy with the electric toothbrush. But it was extremely slow and quiet one I got him. But it wasn't really powerful enough. And what I wanted, and if you're looking for a toothbrush for your dog, is you want one that oscillates, as in it goes round, but it doesn't hammer. It doesn't hammer forward, because that just means that there's less vibration in the mouth, and you certainly don't want a sonic one, because that would probably bother them. I think, I'm not 100% sure, just because of the sonic vibrations. I've got a sonic one. I might actually try it on him with one of the toothbrush heads that I've got. But anyway, I've bought this one because it's more powerful. I'm still on the lookout for the perfect toothbrush for him, and I hope that one day they come out with an electric toothbrush for dogs, because it just means, it's not just that it gives it a better clean, but if you think with a toothbrush you need to do this, you know, you need to go round and round, and you need to move it around in their mouth. With an electric toothbrush, although there is a noise, you just need to gently move it along, and it's doing all the work for you. So he almost seems to tolerate it more, and we don't need to spend as long cleaning his teeth. So I can't tell you how much I wish everybody would use an electric toothbrush. I wish everybody would clean their teeth, their dog's teeth, every day to start with, but an electric toothbrush is a really good thing, I would say. That's everything that I've got to show you today. I have put in an order yesterday on, was it Amazon? No, it was in Zooplus, I think. So I've got a big order coming from there. I'm still on the hunt for something to replace the Billy and Margot venison and marrow bones that we buy him, that are his kind of treats at the weekend in the evening when we're having snacks and don't want to be giving him crisps and whatnot, you know. But they're just so expensive, you can't walk into a shop and buy them. So I'm always on the lookout for long-lasting snacks that are, or treats that are good for him. So I've ordered a couple of interesting things from this Zooplus website, and I will show them in my next haul, and definitely if they're any good, but I'm still on the lookout. I bought something that's a deer shank from Amazon, but he just actually did enjoy that in the end, so I might order another one. I can't remember how much it cost, but he just sort of peeled off the skin, and I don't know, it didn't actually last that long in the end, so we shall see. Anyway, I hope that this was useful to you. Feel free to let me know of any things that you use. What are your favourite things to use for health, for enjoyment, for dressing up, for first aid, that kind of thing. Like I said, I'll link everything for you below, and I'll speak to you again soon.